Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs podcast, 32 days away from opening day and just 11 days away from our spring training trip at CHGO, thanks to our friends at Shady Rays. Jed is not resting. Adds another outfielder. What does it mean? Plus, we're ranking the National League Central Division center fielders. Where is PCA and who would you trade him for? CHGO Cubs, we're golden, baby. We're next.
Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast on a Monday. We hope you have a great week, so you might as well just get it started with us. What's up, everybody? Jump in the chat, like the video, subscribe to our channel, the CHGO Cubs channel. I'm Joey Christopoulos, Justin Roman, Luke Stuckmeyer, and Sarah on the ones and twos. Give it to me.
Cubs.
Yes. Yeah, we had spring training games, Luke. Real box scores, real stuff, real results. We haven't won yet, but damn it, it feels good, Luke. Good to see you.
Yeah, we are winless, and the Sox are undefeated. I've seen Sox fans gloating about it. Of course, you use the word real, Joey. Real nice, real sunny, real warm, real baseball. We'll debate that on the show a little bit, right? We'll debate that a little bit. Here's the real story. 11 days away. 11 days away from sunshine. That's the CHGO spring training trip that you can still sign up for. And spots are going fast. March 5th to March 8th, presented by Shady Rays. It's an a la carte service, okay? Get out there, and you can go to the Cubs game with it. We got a couple Cubs games we're going to go to at Sloan Park. There's even, if you're a Sox fan, you can even go to a Sox game if you want to. There's also the Bulls happen to be playing the Suns when we're out there, so a bunch of us are going to go to that. That's on the a la carte option. And there's a golf tournament. I believe that's Friday the 6th. And that's for all ALLCITY Network teams. So we'll be out there just with a bunch of baseball fans and hopefully the CHGO team, us, the diehards, the sickos from Chicago, we will represent and we will dominate the other cities like we do in podcasting, correct? That's the way we're going to do it. And by the way, if you haven't signed up to be a diehard, this is a good week to do it because if you don't have those tickets yet, diehard perks, one of them is discount deals. So you're going to get that. And right now, because of the NFL Combine going on, we've got a very short time. This is going for $36 for that first year. $36 for the whole year. What is that? $3 a month or something like that? Like
it is, yeah.
You can't. I can't get a Coke for that anymore, right? So that's a pretty good deal, and it comes with the perks. It comes with the free T-shirt, and it comes with the Die Hard card, which I like to remind people is simply instant credibility. There aren't too many things you can throw out there where you can just say, look at me, I'm a baller, shot caller, 20-inch blades on the Impaler. That was for Justin, and that Die Hard card, doesn't matter if you use it in Arizona or in Chicago or, well, maybe not Puerto Vallarta right now, but some places, if you put that thing down, instant credibility. By the way, glad I'm not in Puerto Vallarta.
Real quick, Justin, did you see when Luke was doing that read and he was saying 11 days before spring training, he closed his eyes like that John Hamm TikTok that's going around of like when he's at the club.
Yeah.
Well, we get compared all the time, John Hamm.
Yes. I mean, we can taste it. 6 shows to go. Come hang out with us.
Well, and also
nothing's going to feel better.
Don't be fooled. The sun is out here in Chicago. It is ice cold outside. I mean, it is, the whole cliche looks can be deceiving. Today is that day. Looks can be deceiving. The sun is out. It looks like a beautiful day out. It is not. It is freezing outside. I did a little story for my social media on the walk over here. I was freezing, by the way. My hand's almost getting frostbite as I'm doing the video. But I was thinking to myself, not this weekend, but next weekend we're going to have sunshine and warm weather. Like that's what I want. That's what I want in my life. That's what I want around me. And then just watching the Cubs. Obviously, I hope we don't watch them get their first win, but I hope it's a very successful weekend, and nothing better than Arizona with my boys. And looking forward to meeting each and every one of you guys that are coming out there.
I don't go with a tank top very often, but if you go outside in a tank top today, you would know it's not warm.
Oh, it's
would know it's not quite Arizona right now. It's brutal. All right, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to do the center fielder thing, and we'll get a little goofy with it eventually. But let's get to the news of the day, which is Michael Conforto has signed with the Cubs. My first reaction was I would have loved this signing 4 years ago. Okay. He will be 33 on March 1st, but it is a just minor league deal, so nothing's guaranteed. I saw The Athletic has now put out that the base salary would be $2 million for Conforto if he makes the team. And this is a guy that was a one-time All-Star, 17, 18, 19. He was like a 3.5 F-WAR to 4 something F-WAR player. Listen, is he cooked? I don't know. He looked cooked with the Dodgers last year. He was a negative WAR player, but he's depth, and they will have some spots to play some games. And I sort of feel it's not the same as Dylan Carlson, other than it is depth for the outfield. Somebody's going to make the team, and I feel like they're just taking flyers, and especially in case one of those guys gets hurt, right? Like Seiya has a history of getting hurt in spring training for whatever reason, knock on wood. Ian App hamstring stuff, like it happens. Even PCA, you got to have depth. So I don't know that the Cubs are going into the season thinking that Michael Conforto is their future by any stretch of the imagination, but he is an insurance policy.
Absolutely. And I think it's a really good deal. I mean, honestly, it's not going to be a deal breaker. It's one of those things that I think championship teams need to do. They've created a very good competition, healthy competition for that 4th outfield spot. And Michael Conforto being signed today does not mean he's making a team. It doesn't mean we're going to be talking about him during the season. But you know what? If he shows out in the spring and shows that he's not cooked, then you have a guy who was a former All-Star, and if he found some kind of magic in the offseason and trained and got himself back to like being somewhat how he used to be, then it's a really good under-the-radar signing. But again, it costs us nothing if he shows up, stinks, you cut him, it's over, So there's a comment from The Godfather. I know that The Godfather is kind of legendary here at CHGO, but he says, Ricketts getting back to his cheap ways. Conforto is your left-handed bat. Come on, man. I know you're being sarcastic. You have to be being sarcastic with that comment because this is not a cheap thing he's doing. This is an insurance policy. And again, he may not even make the team, but if he rediscovers the magic, good for the Cubs, good for Jed. One more thing I'll say is that Seiya and PCA are both leaving for the WBC very soon, I think in a couple days. So there is going to be outfield spots to have some playing time for guys like Conforto and Carlson and KA and all those things, okay? So we are going to have a lot of playing time to give thanks to our 2 stars being gone. So why not? See what he's got. And again, if he stinks, it costs us nothing.
Yeah, and breaking news in the chat, Gary Ross has already cut Kevin Alcantara from the Major League team. Okay. So look, all right, here's the deal, right? 2 years ago, this was a guy who a lot of people were trying to sign to 1-year deals for $17 million, $18 million.
Yeah.
He's now signing for 2, Luke. If you pull up his baseball
if he
savant.
Makes the team.
If he makes the team, right.
If he makes the team. This doesn't, look, he's a guy, and Justin, you're bringing up a good point where this just follows the track record of how Jed Hoyer has approached this offseason, where he's throwing a surplus at different areas, and he's trying to create competition and may the best man win. When it comes to Michael Conforto last year, bat speed in the 77th percentile. Okay. But exit velocity, 48th, barrel percentage, 50, hard hit rate, 50, chase rate, 82%. So, okay, he's got some bat speed, but he doesn't hit the ball hard anymore. And I just I'm sorry, like there's some accounts on Twitter that I follow a lot that I like, Luke, but we're going to enjoy this game really quickly, okay? Everyone's just like, if he can return to the form of 2, 3, 4 years ago,
right?
I got a great list for you of if these guys had a flux capacitor, if these Cubs players had a time machine, we'd be all set. And I think Michael Conforto's in this list. Remember 2006 Phil Nevin? Only 2 years removed from 100 RBIs, 5 years removed from 41 home runs, Luke. Cliff Floyd, 2007. Love Cliff Floyd. 2 years removed from 34 home runs. Even Jason Kendall was on that team. Aaron Miles, 2009.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Went from a 2.2 WAR player to a minus 1.7 with the Cubs in just a year. Xavier Nady in 2010, only 2 years removed from 25 home runs, 97 RBIs, flamed out with the Cubs. Jonathan Lucroy, not my favorite Twitter follower in the world, but 3 years removed from an All-Star game, 292, 24 home runs, 81 RBIs, flamed out in the Cubs. 2019, Cargo, Carlos Gonzalez. 2020, Jason Kipnis. 2022, Framil Reyes, 2 years removed from 30 home runs. Look, like, that's who Michael Conforto is. If he had a flux capacitor and a time machine, we would be very confident about this signing. But until then, prepare or produce, Luke. And I think this dude simply needs to produce the heck out of his spring training to make the team.
Well, it's, as you just pointed out, it's very rare that a guy seems to fall off the cliff and then all of a sudden at age 33, he bounces back. That said, now you can go to Game Day Men's Health and it can change the way you look at things. It can turn your life around, or you could start chugging that fuel, and the fuel might be what turns and you could show up to the ballpark at 33 and you might be in the best shape of your life. You know what I'm saying? So you just never know. Here's one thing that I thought was interesting. You know, I'm not a numbers guy, so I did a little digging. I'm not even sure I dug in the right spots, but here we go. As I mentioned, last year, right? 486 plate appearances, .199 batting average, 12 home runs. But you know what? Zips is projecting that instead of the 12 home runs he hit last year, now I don't know if this is since he signed with the Cubs or what, but Zips was projecting 17 home runs this year, 5 more than last year. WRC plus was only 83 last year, 104. So maybe the old Zippy computer sees the same thing that Jed Hoyer sees, and it says, you might as well take a gamble. Throw him in the mix. We're not going to tell Kevin Alcantara he's guaranteed one of these 4 or 5 outfielder spots. He's got to go earn it if he wants to be that guy, because we could send him back to Iowa. And then it becomes, all right, so who's he really competing with? Who's he taking bats away from either during the season or in the Cactus League? I'm not too worried about the Cactus League because what Justin just said, we have multiple guys going to the World Baseball Classic. So there's at-bats to be had. Even if those at-bats are just in split squad games or even on backfields, right? Like, he's going to get enough swings that you can look at him and say he's cooked or not cooked. And if he's not cooked, which, again, what do you guys want to put on that? 15%? 10%?
So I
20?
on the other side, I found 3 Cubs since the year 2000 that I thought when they were brought over to the Cubs, people thought they were cooked, and then they turned it around. Those 3 players, Fred McGriff, who went on to hit 30-plus bombs at 38 years old.
Hall of Famer.
Jim Edmonds, right? Everyone thought Jim Edmonds was cooked. And then the other one, Cody Bellinger.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Good
That's
point.
it.
Yeah, now, what if you could get just a portion of a decent Cody Bellinger season for $2 million?
Well, and also too, like, no one's expecting him to start, right? So I think that ultimately, if he's not cooked and he makes his team, a much improved Michael Conforto taking an 8th inning pinch hit, he's a veteran. He's been there before. He's not gonna be razzled. I think that if he shows that he's not cooked, we could have worse options as our 4th outfielder pinch hit option down late in the game. So
very true.
Again, there's just nothing. This is a lotto ticket that has you have nothing to lose in this situation, and honestly, everything in the game, because I think we all can agree our expectations aren't very high. So you have nothing to lose, everything to gain. I think it's the kind of signing that a championship team does, and see how it pans out. If it doesn't pan out, it costs you nothing, and have a great rest of your life.
And real quick, speaking of championship, Michael Conforto, 2015, hit 2 bombs in a World Series game.
There you go.
Yeah, and if this is a
Connecting
different
the
signing,
dots.
if this signing were 2 years ago, we'd be laughing at it and mocking it and saying this is pathetic. it's a different team. It's about adding names and numbers and depth just in case something happens. Let's say it's Hap, PCA, and Say It, and everybody's healthy when the season starts, okay? And we assume that now Matt Shaw is technically your fourth outfielder. True. Because we think he's going to play there a lot. You're only really talking about one spot at the major league level for Dylan Carlson, Michael Conforto, Kevin Alcantara. Who else is on the list?
Chas McCormick.
Chas McCormick. So you got like four guys competing for one spot.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's healthy. That's good.
That is healthy. And you know what? Maybe you can stash some of them at Iowa.
Right. Well, it
just
seems
in case something bad happens.
It seems like Alcantara has an option left, which was great news to my ears. Chas also, is that somebody that we could send to the minor leagues?
Yes, Dylan Carlson does not have an option. So if Dylan Carlson doesn't make the team, they are opting out of his contract to allow him to find a job somewhere else where McCormick could go to the minors.
And the Cubs signed Conforto to a minor league deal, correct?
Yes.
So doesn't that mean he can go in AAA as well? So ultimately, I believe
if he's willing to.
You're creating right. But you're creating competition for that final spot, if you will, and then you are adding to depth in AAA just in case one of our starters gets hurt. I mean, again, I think it's a win-win for all of us because we'll be pleasantly surprised if Conforto found the fountain of youth, and I think none of us will be heartbroken if it doesn't work out and we have to say goodbye to him or stash him in AAA.
Sounds good. Hey, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to start looking at some more fun stuff. We will talk about what happened over the weekend. We'll talk about ranking those center fielders, and we'll get a little delusional, most likely. It's a CHGO Cubs podcast.
Hey, Cubs fans, whatever the moment, you know it's never ordinary at Bet365. And right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. That's right. Got a little thing called the Chicago Cubs season coming up, but you don't have to wait. Right now, they got Blackhawks, we got Bulls action all season long. And right now, you can also double your winnings on parlays with Bet365's 100% parlay boost. So download the app today and use the code CHGO365 when you sign up. Remember, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. If that bet wins or loses, you can use it on a lot of stuff. Spreads, totals, player props, futures. I don't know. Cubs winning the pennant, Cubs winning the World Series. Get in the action. Use the code CHGO365 when you sign up because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, in-app only. But remember, when you download Bet365, use the code CHGO365 when you sign up.
Man, oh man, Mother Nature pulled the old Chicago spring switcheroo on us. Have you noticed that winter is back? I hope your home's heating is still up to the challenge. Now's the time to schedule your Four Seasons furnace tune-up, or maybe it's the AC prep. That's optimistic. At Four Seasons, they guarantee same-day installation for all your heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, generator needs, and no extra charge for nights, weekends, or holidays. You can save up to $4,000 on furnaces right now and comfort systems with Four Seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, sewer, and electric. Furnaces start at $39 a month. Those AC combos start at $57 a month. Call today, save $50 from your trusted local experts. Four Seasons, your trusted local experts for heating, air conditioning, plumbing, sewer, and electric, serving the area for more than 50 years. They are your trusted experts. Four Seasons, heatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's Four Seasons, heatingcooling.com. Don't get left out in the cold.
Welcome back to the CHGO Cubs podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, like, and subscribe to the CHGO Cubs channel. Hope you're having a great day, and I hope you're going to have yourself a great week. Joey Christopoulos, Justin Roman, Sarah on the ones and twos, and Luke Stuckmeyer. Luke, man, let's dive into some spring training action. We were joking half-heartedly before the show about possibly a new segment that should probably be sponsored by either Portillo's or our wonderful partner already with Omaha Steaks. We got our winners, our wieners, and our whiners of the weekend. What is your big takeaway from spring training? Let's dive into it.
The big takeaway presented by Xfinity. Imagine that. My big takeaway is it's 3 games. It doesn't mean a ton, but my big takeaway is watching some of those bullpen guys, right? Like we'll get to the offensive players, but I was interested to see because it's a totally rebuilt bullpen, and we still have some of those young arms that we're sitting there going, all right, how are they going to do so far? I don't care if the Cubs honestly win a single game in the Cactus League, although it would be nice if they won when we were there just so we get to sing the song. But my big takeaway is Jack Neely, 1 inning, 3 strikeouts on Saturday. Oh, okay. Cubs could use some strikeouts. Luke Little, scoreless inning on Saturday as well. And Gavin Hollowell, 1 inning, 3 strikeouts Friday against the Sox. I don't want to get out the reality spray and tell you that it means anything at all, but that was a nice first appearance for each of those guys, right? Like, I don't know that any of them are in the bullpen when the season starts. I don't know if Little, Neely, or Hollowell, I don't know if they're part of the bullpen, but that was a nice start to their spring. They could put that feather in their cap and move forward, and maybe they can build off it. If one of them has a hot spring, I think there's a pretty good chance one of them ends up in the bullpen, maybe 2 of them.
Or I'll go a step further. Like, for me right now, when you talk about like the Gavin Hollowells and the Luke Littles, right? Like, even if I'm not saying they have a spot on the major league roster, what have we been talking about all off season is just building more depth.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to raise the floor of production, not just on your major league team, but also in your minor league system. Because as we know, the season is long.
Very long.
Injuries happen. So when you tap someone on the shoulder at the AAA level, they can come up and not miss a beat at the major league level and help you keep winning games. So it's great to see Luke Little throw strikes.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see Jack Neely strike some guys out. But I'm not, I'm not going to get all worked up about how are these guys going to fit into the major league roster at this particular time. The one guy that I did like to see, too, was Jefferson Rojas. I thought Jefferson Rojas had himself a nice weekend. Again, I'm not going to start the discourse of, well, we can't sign Nico Horner to an extension because we got Jefferson Rojas sitting. That's not what this is about.
Right.
What it's about is a 20-year-old hitter who the Cubs have challenged at the minor league system the last 2 years at levels that only, I believe he was at single high A at 19, and there was only 3 other players that were at that age, at that level. They're challenging him with pitching that is above his pay grade. He's like taking AP biology, right? No. And to this point, as a 20-year-old, he looks all right. Like, he takes some pitches. Brendan Miller, the pitch doctor, also the hit enthusiast over the weekend, loved what he saw from Jefferson Rojas, even in an at-bat where he grounded out, where he hit a 106-mile-an-hour grounder to shortstop, but he took some pitches, he worked a count, and he checked a little bit of that box. I'm not saying he's going to be a part of this team. I'm also not saying he might be a part of our future because, Luke, here's the other part. We need some of these guys in this system to perform well and start juicing up their value. Because if the Cubs are really serious about going deep into October, I need Jefferson Rojas hitting 300. Because if he is the final piece in a trade, right, like to get the huge big name player.
Scooble.
Oh, wow. Gosh, he's afflicted right now.
Water.
He's got a little bit of that.
You should get antibiotics for that.
He really should. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it's a 2-pronged system. There's a micro and a macro to all this. It doesn't always have to come down to, is Jefferson Rojas going to make the opening day roster, Justin?
Totally.
You know what I mean?
There's many assets. There's financial, there's prospect capital, there's all those different things. My big takeaway was more like, who's going to get the Wiener Award for the weekend? That triple play turned against us was embarrassing. I know it's spring training. I know it doesn't matter in the scheme of things, but I coach my son's 12U travel baseball team. I would be pissed if they did that. Like, it was so bad.
No pizza after the game?
I mean, I would be yelling. I'd come to our show the next day with no voice. I'd be yelling. So it was just such little league. Like, I can't believe it happened. For those that didn't see it, Seiya bloops a single into right field, kind of in between, like, the second baseman and the right fielder. Matt Shaw at third base doesn't get a great read on it, so he doesn't try to score. But Bregman got a good read on it, so he's going to third. Seiya tries to stretch it into a double, gets thrown out a second. They throw to third, tag Bregman. He's the one that's out. It should have been a double play. Matt Shaw, I don't know what happened at that point. He gets off the base and he thought he was out. He walks towards the dugout. They tag him out. Triple play. It's just, again, it does not matter. We're not going to worry about this in April or May or June. But like, it was pathetic to watch. It was embarrassing to watch. Again, I'd be mad at my 12U players if they did that. But again, we can laugh about it, hopefully, and make some jokes here. But it was pretty pathetic to watch.
I wonder if Council the next day starts camp by saying, all right, let's go back and look at something from yesterday. And every day just makes a running joke out of this. Was so embarrassing. These are guys that should know better. 3 guys that should know better, right? Yes. And to Justin's point, he may have just said, no orange slices tomorrow, guys. No orange slices after the game for you.
Speaking of it, Justin's got Astro Dad throwing us a super chat in here. If you could pull that up, Sarah. Thank you. $4.99 super chat from Astro_Dad86. Love the show. We love you for saying that, yes. Astro Dad. Did anyone catch the Giants announcer's comments on Shaw yesterday? One called him a bonehead and the other an idiot. It was bad, but still. I mean,
it's spring training. I'm not.
Yeah, like, we see people, Luke, we're seeing people in the comments, Craig Brindle and Gary Ross, both of our diehard commenters, Porter Hodge is no longer in the triangle of trust. Gary Ross, Porter Hodge doesn't know where the plate is anymore. Are you as fatalist about the 4 walks from Porter Hodge as our commenters are?
Well, as I just pointed out for the other guys, while that's a nice stepping stone, that's more of a step in the mud. That's a doozy for Porter Hodge. Maybe not the way he wanted to start it, but again, especially the first week, I'm not going to make a whole lot out of it. If they're still doing that stuff right before the season, maybe you're getting a little more concerned. I am curious out of that group that we were talking about, and we might as well put Porter Hodge in there. Porter Hodge, Luke Little, Hollowell, Neely. Could one of those guys take the step like Palencia took last year? Could one of them be like a Keller, or could one of them be just take that next surprising big step where all of a sudden they become a weapon for the Cubs by the end of the season? That's what you're hoping for out of that group, right? I know some of them are just depth, but I would love to see the Cubs find a way to get one of those guys to finally come through. We've been talking about Luke Little forever.
I was going to say, isn't it, of all the ones that you could pick, wouldn't you pick Luke Little, the guy who's a big, tall arm, who's a lefty?
Yeah.
Don't have a ton of that right now.
And I mean, he's a power arm too. Like, I mean, he's a big, tall lefty who can throw gas and kind of an intimidating factor, a guy out there on the mound. Because not only is he tall, but then on the mound, he's even taller, right? So, I would love for him to be the guy. He's shown flashes before. He did kind of fall off the radar for a while, but if he could have a monster spring, maybe he forces himself into that conversation. And I think there's always a spot for a hard throwing lefty reliever, and force your way on the team, buddy. Force your way on.
And if you don't, just be ready.
Right.
Be ready.
Yeah.
Because when we call your name and you get on the bus and you come up to Wrigley Field, we need you to produce, man. That was what happened to Gavin Hollowell and his little cup of coffee last year. Can he take maybe a small step forward where you build not the circle of trust, but the trust that we call you up, you get the job done, and you can be a part of this team and its success?
Hey, guys, one more thing, too. A comment here. Bob Loblaw, 9362.
Bob Loblaw.
Okay,
Loblaw.
There it is. He says, playing through an alarm, telling people to evacuate was weird as hell, too. Bizarre inning. And, I forgot to mention that. That was crazy. Like, they literally wanted everyone to evacuate the stadium, but they had the players still play the game. So it was definitely something was in the stars or something, because it was a very weird thing. Again, there was no emergency. We found out after the fact, but during that time, there was an alarm that played the entire inning, I want to say, and they wanted people to evacuate the stadium. So it was a very, very weird game. And that triple play was also very, very weird.
All right. Hey, it's 0-3. It's just 3 Cactus League games. It's not a big deal. That was the big takeaway presented by Xfinity. Imagine that. Hey, when we go to break, I want to throw out, before we get to that center fielder thing, because we're still talking outfielders earlier in the show. The question for the chat is, out of those guys we talked about, Dylan Carlson, Conforto, whoever you want to put on the list, Alcantara, which one of those guys would you make the favorite to be the fifth outfielder? And then who would be the least likely to make it? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast. We're golden, baby.
Hey, Cubs fans, can you believe it? That's right. Spring training, opening day right around the corner. Just because we're getting a couple months into 2026 doesn't mean you need to get away from your goals. It doesn't mean you move away from that high protein action. That's why I go to Huel. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Huel helps support my busy days, my chaotic afternoons, and is perfect for habit building goals that I can start to lose a little weight and also get that meal on the go. It's convenience and control all in a bottle for those chaotic mornings. And if you skip a meal or you're trying to cram in a workout, it's Huel right there. It's got 35 grams of protein, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no artificial sweeteners, colors, or flavors, gluten-free. And the best part, it's under $5 per meal. It's a complete meal you can literally grab and go. They also have a wonderful powder that you can make your own smoothies, add your own fruit. So what are you waiting for right now? They got a limited time offer. Get Huel today with the exclusive offer of 15% off using the code CUBS15. So scan that code below. CUBS15 for Huel today. It is a game changer.
Wings for the kids. Every Tuesday in February, your wing cravings can make a difference. Hooters is donating a portion of chicken wing sales to Holy Family Schools, helping fund tuition, books, classroom supplies, and more for kids in under-resourced communities. With the support of our Chicagoland Hooters family, we've raised over $1 million since 1992. I'm gonna say it again. Over $1 million since 1992. Let's keep it going because kids can't fly without wings. Weekday lunch specials. Hooters is the best lunch spot in town. Weekdays just got better with some of your Hooters faves. $9.99 or less, like boneless wings, OG wings, blackened chicken, Caesar salad, the original burger, and more. Available every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Cheer on your favorite teams from any of the 11 Chicagoland Hooters locations. My favorite is Schaumburg. I'm very partial to Schaumburg, though. I do love them all. Check them all out at originalhooters.com. And again, the weekday lunch specials happen Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Go. You got it. You got it, Luke.
I was taking the last breath.
Hey guys, can I take it for a second?
Yeah, please.
No, I just wanted to say, wow, that was, first one is what I.
I'm part of the ad reads now, so thank you very much. But I want to double down on Hooters for a second. So Luke, earlier in the show, you said that CHGO club card is like gold, right? You have that card.
Die Hard card. Yes.
Here's a humble brag. Back in the day, when I was at my B96 heyday and everything, I was gifted a Hooters VIP card. And it got me 50% off my entire bill wherever I went at any location, right? And I'll tell you right now, Chicago is great. I go to Schaumburg all the time, put it down, half off the bill, right? We went to Kentucky one time, the Kentucky Hooters, because the Great American Ballpark is across the river. So you go to watch the Cubs Reds, but you go to the Kentucky Hooters, right? And I put this card down because it said anywhere in the country. And they'd never seen it before. And then the manager come out and they must have thought I was like corporate Hooters because they literally rolled the red carpet out as if like I was like Mr. Hooter.
Justin Hooters.
Yeah. So I was treated like a king at the Kentucky Hooters thanks to this VIP card that I was given in Chicago, like, I don't know, back in 2010.
And now the obvious question is, do you still have it?
No, I mean, they would renew it every year because we'd have the Hooters calendar girls on the air. It was a tough job. We'd have the calendar girls on the air, and we'd interview them, and then we gifted a new card every year. And then when I stopped working at B96, the card went away as well.
Well, now that they're a partner of ours, I'm just thinking, maybe that trip to Arizona, I was going to say Justin's totally buying with that half off card.
Fried pickles, man. Let's do it.
Boneless wings. I love them out there. That was a terrific performance. The first CHGO ad read by Justin Roman. I want to give a shout out. The only thing I've seen better in the last 5 days. Did you see this guy in Chicago, Leo Cundiff? The wind was outrageous the other day, and somebody was on the lakefront with their baby in a stroller, and the wind caught the stroller and blew the baby into Lake Michigan.
Oh my gosh.
This dude heard the mom scream, jumped into the water and rescued the baby. Imagine how cold the water is. He didn't know how to swim.
What?
You want to talk about a hero. This guy didn't know how to swim. He jumped in and he said he was rubbing the baby's head because he wasn't sure they were going to make it.
Oh my gosh.
And people then gathered around and they got them both out of the water. But this dude that didn't know how to swim jumped in, gut reaction, saves the baby. Your ad read was great, Justin, but it wasn't that great.
I'll take second place to that story all day long. I didn't hear about that. That's incredible. That's insane.
The fact that he didn't know how to swim just gives you a little hope about what we all internally, when the chips are down and when the stuff happens, like what we're all capable of as humans.
Yeah. I already know if there's a fire somewhere, I'm going to be like George Costanza in that Seinfeld. I'll be shoving people out of the way, women, children, strollers, grandparents.
They say adrenaline takes over. You could pick up a car. You know what I'm saying? Like a guy could pick up a car if he had to, if the adrenaline situation.
Oh my God! You don't remember the time the rally cake got trapped under the car and Luke like literally
one-handed it.
Saved that rally cake.
And I had frosting all over my fingertips, which is what made it even more impressive. So hey, we went to break, and I asked that question about Conforto and Dylan Carlson and Alcantara. Who would you put as the favorite? If the other four guys are locks, if Shaw's a lock and the three starters are a lock, who's the favorite out of that group for you? I want it to be Alcantara.
Right. Like that's the question.
Because I want the young player, I want the promising prospect. I want it to be Alcantara, but I kind of doubt that he's the favorite because of the option.
So that's the part that I was pausing on, was that I think when we say the favorite, that can be interpreted in a couple of different ways. The first one is I think that the Cubs would prefer the favorite to be KA.
Yeah.
I would say, and this has nothing to do with spring training performance, I just keep coming back to the fact that they negotiated an option in McCormick's contract. Right. A guy that knows Bregman. If you're saying apples to apples, Carlson and McCormick, I just feel like that the fact that he has that option, that optionality, I think that gives him a little bit of a leg up where he might be the favorite. Now, having said that, I think Conforto just shot to the top of the charts because he's left-handed. He's got a little pop. He's got some incentive to keep his career going. Clearly has a better resume of past success in the major league level than Dylan Carlson and Chas McCormick. So maybe walking in the door, maybe he's the favorite now. Justin, where do you land?
Yeah, I really truly feel like there is no favorite. I really think that it's going to be a situation where if one guy just ran with it, that's your guy. I think if Alcantara just goes off this spring, I think that you can't deny him his opportunity. I think if Conforto comes and shows that he's hitting bombs in the spring and he's looking good, I think he makes a team. I guess you can, contracts with Alcantara and Chas having options. I guess you could say like you can stash them and not lose them. That would put Carlson and Conforto as the favorites. But I really do think that Jed just created a great competition for that last spot. And if you want it bad enough, you got to perform. And then if you perform, you'll be rewarded with that spot. I don't think it's going to be a KB thing where like he crushed it in the spring, but they're sending him down anyways. I think you truly perform in the spring, you'll have that last spot. So I'm anxious to see who it is because I really feel like there's no favorite.
I am too. And really quick, Luke, like when we did the game Produce or Prepare last week, when we talk about produce with Conforto, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if he's a guy that comes out and just like drops a 1 for 16, I could kind of just see them moving on in spring training.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it either works or it doesn't, and I think we'll have that answer. I think sooner than people think.
Yeah, I saw Bruce Levine basically when the signing happened say he's insurance for Happen left, and he's insurance if Mo Baller isn't up to the task at DH. And I thought, I think Conforto's probably the favorite. Zips is saying 17 home runs. Would you take 17 home runs for your 50? Yeah, of course you would, right? Yeah. Like, yes, you would. That said, if he was forced to be the DH because Ballesteros wasn't ready to be that DH, yeah, I would take 17. Okay. Right. I think it's Conforto. I think it's Conforto, then I think it's Carlson, And then I think it's who the Cubs would really hope it would be, which would be Kevin Alcantara. I don't know that, I don't know how it's going to work out, but if I had to put my money on it, I guess I'd bet on a guy who had a negative F4 last year.
Right.
I don't really, it's not easy to say. I guess he's the favorite. I guess he's the favorite. That's
I don't
all
want
I'll
to
say.
sidetrack here for a second, but I found it very interesting what Counsell said about Mo Baller, that he will be getting a lot of time behind the plate and over at first base this spring.
Yeah.
That was a eye-opener for me, because it's like, okay, good. Hopefully they haven't given up on him as catcher, because we've talked about if he could just maybe catch, once or twice a month, that adds flexibility. But first base was the first time I really heard that. And so I was very interested to hear Counsell's take on Mo Baller and the defense opportunities that he might have.
Yeah, they jammed him there, right? Like the last weekend against St. Louis, right? They let him play an inning at first base as like, total break glass in a situation while they're trying to figure out their playoff rosters. But yeah, this is what spring training is all about, Luke. And these guys are just going to they're going to sort themselves out. This is Darwinism of the bench bats. You know what I mean? Literally. So.
Yeah, and even with the Mo Baller catcher stuff, that's interesting. By the way, Miguel Amaya, couple of hits.
Love it.
Get out the reality spray. Here we go. Big season. Not yet. You can't get me through the screen. That's one of the beauties of Mondays.
Did that on purpose.
All right, we've been ranking the Cubs in the division at each position. And early on, we had the Brewers pretty high up. This is another one that's pretty interesting. I think you can make arguments for some different guys at center field, right? So where does Pete Crow Armstrong rank among the outfielders in the division? And we will start with 5th place, and we hope it stays that way. It's the irrelevant franchise that I don't know if they even have uniforms anymore or not, or if they're just going to do the T-shirt. They got printed names on it, like the One World Baseball Classic team. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's St. Louis. It doesn't matter. Lars Nootbaar, whatever.
Who cares?
You're irrelevant.
Victor
You're irrelevant.
Scott. Yeah.
Your team's not trying, so who cares who's in center field? How about number 4? What do you guys think? Who should be number 4 on that list?
So for me, I mean, this is a talented group in the National League Central.
Minus the Cardinals.
Minus the Cardinals.
Right.
Yeah.
Who we can confirm, I think they still have uniforms and everything. But I had a number 4. I had a guy who's incredibly talented, but frankly, he's been disappointing. I have O'Neal Cruz, former shortstop, now converted center fielder. When we talk about these top 4 guys, moving forward with O'Neal Cruz, there are certain benchmarks and there's certain stats that frankly just I like. I mean, you pulled up some WRC plus, Luke, for some of these guys. I kind of basically went off of production, WAR versus lefties versus righties, some baseball savant stuff, and some runners in scoring position. This is how wild O'Neal Cruz is. Exit velocity on baseball savant, 100th percentile. Barrel rate, 97th percentile. Hard hit percentage, 98th percentile. Bat speed, 100th percentile.
That's good.
Walk rate, 86th percent. And then the pendulum she swings. Chase rate, 48th percentile. Swing and miss, 3rd percentile.
Wow.
One of the worst cases of swing and miss. K rate, 2nd. Range in center field, 48. Arm strength, 100. Speed on the base paths, 93. This is a guy who hit 200 last year. He hit 102 versus lefties. I know we're going to talk about, can PCA hit lefties? Can Michael Busch hit lefties? O'Neal Cruz can't hit lefties. He has all the talent in the world. When he hits a bomb, Justin, it goes for days.
Yeah.
But this is a guy who's as feast or famine as it gets, and he's number 4 on our list.
And I also don't love his attitude. I remember seeing a center field highlight when he went to kind of
Loafed
a ground ball to center field, got past him, and he's kind of turned around and watched it. Like there was just no hustle involved in it. I don't know if he was mad that, he got moved out from shortstop. I just didn't like, I don't like that. I want guys that want to run through a brick wall for my team, and I felt like O'Neal Cruz isn't that guy. Now listen, everybody has a bad little, span of, maybe it was a bad day, maybe it was a bad, but to me that kind of, I don't know. That really turned me off. Kind of like how Framber Valdez turned me off with his, mistake, if you will, right? There's certain character flaws when you see stuff like that, and just the lack of hustle, the lack of caring. With that one particular play, really turned me off on him as a ball player.
O'Neal Cruz, you mentioned the 200 batting average. He was a 1.6 F-WAR player and hit 20 home runs. 94 hits, tons, as you mentioned, this is the type of season I would love to see Conforto have as your fifth outfielder, right? If you just told me that. And what Joey, thank you for putting out the stats, the positive and the negative, because it should remind everybody what the old man has been saying all along. You can make stats say whatever the hell you want them to say. If you want to make them look like this guy's the best, go ahead and say the 100th percentile. If you want to say he's one of the worst, say he hits a 102 against lefties. Like that's the easy comparison. I think of him. Do you remember the old Bugs Bunny cartoons? And some kids that are listening to this podcast will have no idea what I'm talking about. But Bugs Bunny at the bat would get up to the plate and he would swing the bat so hard that he would corkscrew himself into the ground when he missed. Okay? That's O'Neal Cruz. Mm-hmm. He goes for it. And I don't think he deserves to be higher than that, even though some of those numbers that Joey told us suggest that if he ever perfected a couple of smaller things, he could be one of the great players in baseball. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but he's intriguing, and it's a good team for him to be on because they've got room for waiting.
He hit 200 with 94 hits. And he led the National League in stolen bases with 38.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tons of talent.
Yeah. We have one on the south side. It's a Luis Robert situation. If he can ever untap these God-given abilities.
R.I.P.
All right, what's that?
R.I.P. Just from the Sox. He's still alive.
New York,
we had him on the south
He's
side.
in a better place now.
Look, anything is a better place.
Let's move on to our number 3. I have the Cincinnati Reds center fielder TJ Friedl coming in there. 2 years ago, 0.5 WAR. Last year, 2.3 for a combined 2.8. Look, I think this guy is just a solid baseball player. 22 doubles, 14 home runs, 53 RBIs. 261 batting average, 364 on base, which frankly is going to lead the National League center fielders in that category. 250 now with runners in scoring position, can steal 12 to 20 bags a year. The part that sets him apart from, I think, the guys in the top 2 of this list, when we go to that baseball savant, squared up rate, 88th percentile. Chase rate, 98th percentile, which means that he doesn't chase outside of the zone. Whiff rate, 87%. Doesn't miss a lot. Walk rate, 86. Range, 72. Arm strength, 40. So he's definitely not the best center fielder defensively. But, Justin, he's a solid ball player, right? He works a count. Mm-hmm. I think when we talk about him, I think he's Nico Horner light. He's a poor man's Nico Horner out there in center fielder. It's not a bad player. I just don't think he's as good as the top 2 guys in the NL Central.
Looking at our list, O'Neal Cruz has way more talent
than
TJ Friedl. But who would you rather have from a safety standpoint? Like, what you're going to get with TJ, where O'Neal Cruz could be. I could see him being the worst player in baseball next year, or maybe he puts it together and becomes a superstar that they've been hoping he has been forever. So, like, you don't know what you're going to get. There's definitely more talent with someone like Cruz, but I agree he's below TJ because TJ, at least you kind of know what you're going to get, and what you're getting is pretty good.
Yeah.
He has the most hits of any of the center fielders we're talking about, 151, and he has the same WRC plus as Pete Crow Armstrong. So he only leads one category, hits, but he's right there with PCA in weighted runs created plus. Think of those numbers, though, the other stuff, the 261, 14 homers, 2.9 F4. Can we get real for a second? We're talking about TJ Friedl, and we're saying he's a nice, solid player, yada, yada, yada. If he were the left fielder for the Chicago Cubs this season, some people would be thrilled. Some people would be like, oh, what an upgrade over Ian Happ. But look at Happ's numbers. And I just told you, I know you can say the numbers can say anything. Happ's numbers are way better than TJ Friedl.
Yes.
Right? Would you not want, like, let's let's not undervalue some of the things we have. Sometimes we talk about other guys for other organizations. And we're like, hey, he's a good player. Not that we do that with Hap, but it's like if Friedel were actually the left fielder on the Cubs, we'd be miserable. We'd be miserable with those numbers. Would we not?
No, you're not wrong. That's why this exercise has been fun. Mm-hmm. It's eye of the beholder stuff like we do, and Cubs fans should. They focus a lot on just what happens in the ecosystem of the Cubs. But when you go outside and you look at some of these other ball clubs and some of the players that they're banking on, we just did recently who has the best rotation, and the Reds have an incredibly talented rotation.
Right.
But they're going to really need that offense to step up, and they're banking on a guy like TJ Friedel. I don't think the Cubs are banking on Ian Happ the way that the Reds are banking on TJ Friedel. I think the Cubs – with Ian Happ, it's maybe the fourth or fifth guy that they need to go right. And that's the difference. That's the separator. You know what I mean?
He slid down the priority list. Like, we don't need Ian Happ to be that guy anymore, thankfully, because we signed Alex Bregman. So I think, Luke, you have a good point on the fact of, like, Ian Happ, for whatever reason in Chicago, I think is very underappreciated. But that being said, you can do a lot worse than him in left field, for sure.
Yeah, and when you look at those numbers, again, from Friedel, who, again, we think is a nice player, 261, 2.9 F4, 14 home runs, 53 RBI. Can't you envision that that's what at the bare minimum that we would get out of Matt Shaw, potentially as a fourth outfielder? We sure hope so. I know the postseason doesn't look like he'd give you that, but the larger sample size of the second half would tell you, well, I think there's a chance that Matt Shaw is a better outfielder than Friedel by halfway through the season. At least the Cubs are counting on it.
The second half, Matt Shaw is a beast.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that who is he? Is he first half? Is he second half? Is he somewhere in the middle? We're going to find out. This is the year we find out for sure. But I agree with you. I think way more potential for someone like Matt Shaw to be leaps and bounds better than TJ Friedel. But now go show us.
Which brings us to the 1-2 punch. Woo. Luke, here we go. We're going to do them at the same time. This is a CHGO Cubs podcast, but I do deeply believe that at number 2, it is Jackson Chourio in center field for the Milwaukee Brewers. And at number 1, our guy, everyone's favorite, PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong.
Love it.
Let's just start with this, Luke. Like, are you in lockstep with that ranking at this time?
I am agreeing with that ranking right now. Now, one thing I do want to point out that'll make some Brewers fans happy, even though they're going to hate us because they can't stand Pete Crow Armstrong, is that Jackson Chourio will be 22 in March and Pete Crow Armstrong will be 24 in March. There is a 2-year difference, but here's the deal. Chourio has a higher batting average, more hits, and a higher WRC plus. Pete Crow Armstrong hit 10 more home runs last year, had more RBI by far, and a higher F4. So, listen, I don't know. Like, it's close. I'm not saying it isn't, especially because there's 2 years difference. But I think people in Milwaukee believe that PCA is a joke. That's what I really – they forget that there were 30 home runs. They forget that he's stealing over 30 bases. They forget that he was in an MVP conversation. And they look at Chourio and are like, oh, the sky has parted. And it's like, take a look at the numbers. Our guy couldn't hit in the second half of the season, and he still beat your guy in 3 of those major categories.
Right.
They're closer to each other. They're not mirror image players of each other. But statistically, like when you start to line it up, the same things that the same things that Pete Crow Armstrong needs to work on to get better, frankly, are the same things that Jackson Chourio needs to work on to get better. On base percentage, Chourio 307, Pete Crow Armstrong 287. Man, that 287, dude, that's bad, man. Mm-hmm. You got to get that up. But 307, nothing to wag your finger at, nothing to feel good about. Chourio crushes left-handed pitching, 973 OPS, struggles against right-handed pitching, league average hitter, 703. Pete Crow Armstrong last year hit 188 against lefties, not good, 271 against righties, needs to get better at both sides of the plate. When you look at the slugging percentage, 78th percentile for Pete Crow Armstrong, barrel rate 82%, bat speed 61, chase percentage 2nd percentile. Chase rate for Chourio, 8th percentile. Bat speed 73. Like, it's all the same. Now, the one part that's completely different is Jackson Chourio is a talented center fielder.
Mhm.
I don't think he holds a candle to Pete Crow Armstrong.
No.
There's
Not in
no
the same conversation.
right. So if you're telling me that offensively the potential for stardom is similar, they've scratched the surface, we've seen flashes, there's steps to go. Okay, that's fine. But Pete Crow Armstrong, Justin, versus Jackson Chourio defensively is a wide gap. So that's why I have Pete Crow Armstrong ahead of Jackson Chourio.
Yeah, and defense matters. Pitching and defense wins championships. The fact that you have a Gold Glove caliber center fielder that can literally get anything. I mean, if it's up there long enough, he can get it, right? Having that in center field for years and years and years to come, that definitely gives him the advantage. And I also want to say, offensively, if we crunch these numbers and you're saying they're kind of similar in a lot of ways, right? I also think that PCA had a pretty bad second half. And what happened in the second half of last year? We lost Kyle Tucker, and we lost that production out of that spot, right? And I think it's no coincidence that Seiya and PCA struggled as Tucker was hurt and out of whatever. Having Alex Bregman be healthy and being consistent all year long, I think will do wonders for this team. I think it's going to do wonders even more so for Pete Crow Armstrong. I said that word, didn't I? Pete Crow Armstrong. I was in between saying PCA and like saying his full name. You know what I mean? Whatever. My point is, I think that it will do wonders to have someone like Bregman in the lineup for PCA. You saw when you had Kyle Tucker, PCA looked like literally a 40-40 potential candidate, right?
Yeah.
So while Jackson, Chourio, and PCA might be neck and neck offensively right now, I think that this is the year that PCA separates himself from that guy. I think this is the year that PCA is no longer a star, becomes a superstar, and the defense either stays the same or gets even a little better. You're looking at a superstar in the making. I think this is the last time we're going to argue between 1 and 2 in the central of PCA and Jackson Chourio, because I think this is the year that their separation finally happens.
See, and I'm with you on that, but I also see a scenario where they just become 2 of the 3 best outfielders in baseball, right? I could see this being the marquee matchup between these 2 teams for a decade, right? 22 and 24 when the season starts this year, they could be the elite. I think you could easily say that Chourio and Pete Crow Armstrong are 2 of the 10 best young position players in all of baseball. Guys that are at least under 25 and under, or somewhere in that range, under 26 for sure. And I think you easily put these 2 guys in there. And I think they might be the future of the division. But if I'm comparing the 2 right now, and age doesn't matter because you don't get credit for being younger.
Right.
you don't get extra credit because you're a junior instead of a senior. PCA hit 10 more home runs. He stole more bases, didn't he?
Yes.
What did Chourio steal base? Like
21.
Yeah, and his defense is probably the best in all of baseball. So I know Brewer fans don't like the throwing of the helmet, but I do love what we saw. Is it Chicago Magazine, the article? I just caught glimpses of some of the quotes.
Yeah, so that's the thing, Luke, and we might go to a little bit of overtime because I definitely want to hit this. Like, when you say the word extra credit, take a ticket and a trip with me onto Meatball Island. Because I'm not reading Jackson Chourio's quotes on the regular, right? But yeah, Sarah, throw up this quote that PCA had here in the Chicago Magazine. Quote, "I saw what bringing playoff baseball back to the city meant," Pete Crow Armstrong says. "That's an easy, immovable goal. The blank are you playing for if you're not trying to play in the playoffs and win the World Series? There's more to life than baseball, but maybe not for me right now. This blank is my life."
Love it. And honestly, the more you swear, the more you mean it. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, Luke, that's an intangible. It's a meatball thing to get excited about. But if you're a Cubs fan and the player that we're asking ourselves, can he take the leap into superstardom, is thinking and talking like that, which is well documented. This has been PCA for a while. It means something, at least to me. Something to me.
Agreed. I agree. We got to go overtime today. And I don't like to do it, but a couple extra minutes on PCA after that quote.
Time and a half.
I love it.
Yeah, we're in overtime. Like the thing, okay, again, I want to point out Brewers fans hate PCA because everything is out there. He doesn't hide who he is, and we know that some of it, and he knows some of it. If he could hold it back a little bit, it'll probably make him a better ball player. Not eliminate it. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. That's Joe Madden saying to Javi, be you, right? But like, I want PCA to bring it back just a little bit. And he started looking at some of those things. He also had a great quote talking about that playoff baseball and what it meant, like all of that stuff. And he's been working on the little things, just trying to control who he is. By the way, did you see he also mentioned in the article about the contract? He's not looking to break the bank. He's like, I just don't want to ruin the salary structure for everybody, but I want to be a Cub.
Yeah, I love that.
I want to be a Cub because league minimum's pretty good dough too. Like he's not saying he's taking league minimum, but he's saying league minimum's pretty good dough too. And so he hopes that they're having those conversations, and he would like to be a Cub for life. But that first quote that you showed, Joey, that's what gets me extra excited about this guy. Yeah, the catches. Sometimes I think he's almost too much in the outfield because he just wants to go everywhere, right? He's the Tasmanian devil out there. But when I see how hard he works, and I keep reading that he's everything, in reality, he is everything Brewers fans think he will never be already. He's this thoughtful, mindful, hardworking, smart kid with tons of talent. And because he slams his helmet down, they assume he's dumb and he's a meathead and he doesn't work hard and he's a whiner. It's none of that. I heard Mark DeRosa talk about it, him saying, like, I went to camp and I was like, I'm not going to like this guy. And he left camp and was like, well, I got to have that guy on Team USA. He's like, that guy, that's everything I want. It's like, yeah, have a conversation. Listen to what he says. Read the quotes. See what his teammates say about how hard he works. PCA is the best center fielder in the division. And if Jackson Chourio and the Brewers don't want to believe it, boo-hoo. It's the truth right now. I still like Jackson Chourio. He's one of the best young players in baseball. But I think PCA will prove this year that he is better and that he will continue to be better. And the two may grow together as the two best center fielders in baseball. That's what I would love to see, to be honest with you, because it'd be a great rivalry moving forward.
It would be. And we talked about defense, talked about offense. The one thing we haven't talked about, at least specifically, is this swag. And when it comes to swag, there's nobody swaggier than Pete Crow Armstrong. This guy is – I love the throwing the helmet. I love when you hit a home run, you're screaming. I love when one of my favorite gifs on Twitter is when he slid into third base against the White Sox and he got up and was beating his chest. One of my favorite gifs to use. I love the emotion, the good and the bad. One of the knocks last year we had on Kyle Tucker, I think we still have it on him and as a Dodger, it was boring. He struck out. Home run. There was no emotion. I'd rather have a PCA all day, every day that's wearing his heart on his sleeve, that is showing emotion, the good and the bad. I want that versus the boring, and it makes me think you don't care. Don't forget, last year, Kyle Tucker struggled heavily. PCA also struggled heavily. Why did the Cub fans not turn on PCA the way we did on Kyle Tucker? Because PCA, we knew he cared. We knew that it bothered him. We knew that it bothered him like it bothered us that he struck out. You open your arms to a guy like that. He's one of yours, right? I think, you talk about PCA and Chourio being top. I love the fact that here in Chicago, we have PCA and Caleb Williams as like the two young studs of Chicago. And I can see that for the next decade of being like, these are our guys leading the Bears, leading the Cubs, I think when it comes to swag, PCA is off the charts. And I think that he's not a superstar yet, but you know what? You know who believes he's a superstar? PCA thinks he's a superstar. And I love that because he's going to work his butt off to make sure that the stats going into next season prove the fact that he's a superstar because he already believes it in himself. And I love that about him. And that's why, again, I think by far and away, he's number one. And we're never going to have this discussion again, hopefully moving forward.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah is in total agreement with you, Justin. I'd rather have players throw their helmets after a K than pose with an L flag like they won the World Series. Yeah, I mean, stats be damned, right? Like, and here's what I will say. especially heading into this year, I think the excitement level is off the charts for Pete Crow Armstrong. That does not mean he needs to be a perfect player or what we would call a finished product, because I got news for Cubs fans. I don't think we're going to get that this year. But if he can take a couple of steps forward, right? If he can add some words to his game like balance and consistency, the guy's track record, you've illustrated it perfectly. He's friends with our franchise quarterback in this town. What he wrote in the Players Tribune last year, what I witnessed with my own eyes, how he interacts with young Cubs fans at Cubs convention, the way he makes it funny and makes them feel so included and awesome. He is a franchise player starter kit. And he frankly whatever it is, it just hasn't come to its true fruition. And the sky's the limit, Luke. And for me, I'm almost trying to like tamp down the expectation. I've said it multiple times over the offseason. If he doesn't hit 30 home runs this year, if he hits 20 to 22 bombs, but his offensive game takes a step forward where you could just see the maturation at the plate, you could see him coming up with big hits in a moment, or God forbid, even working a walk to start a rally in a ninth inning, I still think he reaches that superstar status. And I don't think we do the baseball savant and we do all the stats. I think his game can go beyond stats this season because I want chaos, right? I want danger on the base paths. I want a guy who's flying around like an F-15 in the outfield. And then, he's juicing you up by either getting on base or hitting a ball far and going long. And obviously representing the Cubs, the way that he does with flair, but also with respect. So it's all sitting out there for him, Luke. I can't wait to watch it. And I think Cubs fans feel the same way.
Teaser for tomorrow's Tuesday podcast for those that stuck around for the end of the show in podcast form. All right, here it is. Better combo, Caleb and PCA versus Love and Chourio. And then on top of that, who are the players in baseball that you'd be willing to trade PCA for? How many are there? And how many of them are not position players?
Does it get off of one hand? Does it get off two hands?
I don't know if it gets... I don't know. I haven't made the list yet, but I think that could be a mini pod we could do even.
Ooh. Nice tease there, Luke.
By the way, real quick, don't forget that trip. This is it. Before we go, since we're over time anyway, CHGO road trip, spring training to Arizona. It's our big trip presented by Shady Rays. The 5th through the 8th, you can still sign up. It's a la carte. You can do what you want. Go to as many games as you want with us at Sloan Park. You could even go to a White Sox game if you want. You could go to the Bulls-Suns game if you want. You could go golfing with us and beat up on all the all-city teams from other cities as we go golfing in the desert. Or you could just come to some meet and greets. Doesn't matter. Just come out and see us. We want to hang out, talk to you, have some fun, talk baseball, and get a little sunshine back in our lives. And we hope you'll join us. Did I mention presented by Shady Rays? That's it.
Some say the future's bright.
That's right. Future's bright. All right, back tomorrow. Thanks to everybody in the live chat, as always. Thanks to all of our great sponsors, and thank you for listening and watching. We'll see you tomorrow. That is Tuesday the 24th, tomorrow already. Wow. This is the CHGO Cubs podcast. Until tomorrow, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.